All right. So I need you to go to.
I'm on the page.
No, but I want you to be on.
What do you want?
I want you to go on to Love Your Life Story. Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
This
Good afternoon,
wonderful,
evening.
nice and cool morning in the desert. I'm glad that humidity and heat wave finally broke. I think it's about 50 degrees outside today.
50 degrees?
Yeah, it's nice and chilly, you know. A little moisture in the air still. So,
Little?
yeah, it's a little bit. It's bad out there today. I'm just trying to change the figment of my imagination into being chilly and cold rather than hotter than hell and humid and steamy.
Are you all keeping cool? Nice and cool? Hydrated? It's a funny feeling because like in the morning you wake up and it's hot
and humid,
and then you go to bed and it's hot and humid, and
there's no break right now.
Yeah,
there's no break.
It doesn't make sense.
We live in the desert, for God's sake, in Southern California. Hey, but wait a minute. Things could be a lot worse. We're not up in Ottawa.
Right.
With plus 4,000 acres plus of burn with only 5% containment, and at least 4 houses have been burned up. And our hearts go out to those people that are up there. I can only imagine what they're going through. I was just telling Topeka, I used to have a cabin in Pine Cove, and we ended up selling it. One reason was that's one of the big fires they had up there several years ago. The anxiety that it would create inside of me if there was a fire would be overwhelming. So our hearts go out to all the people out there. We pray for the firemen, the firefighters. Them guys they're heroes, and they put their life at stake every single day. So our prayers go out for them and all the people that are struggling. So I was thinking this morning, I wish there was something I could do to help up there. You know, be of service somewhere up in that community.
Get your clothes out, get your blankets out, get your bare necessity stuff out. I mean, I think it's about idea. It's for people who are, if they've lost their homes and they need their basic needs being met, right?
I know we can't get into town, but I think I'd almost be willing to, if people want to do that, get a hold of me, drop them off at my house, and I'll get them up to the closeout, wherever, as close as I can get to them. So, hey, we got a bunch of supplies for people who want it.
And there'll be a lot of local charities that will be doing that too. I'm sure like food banks and they will be on it for people to be able to support our local community. This is it's a great conversation today because that's exactly what we're talking about. But
and that community up there is a really, really cool community. Kathy and I were part of it for probably 4 or 5 years. We really enjoyed our time up there, being up there. Even just going up for the day was a nice day, really from the community. So it saddens me that it's happening. And the way it happened too, from my understanding from reliable sources, is that they caught the guy, thank God, but he was going down the road throwing road flares out of his truck into the forest area. So they 3 or 4 road flares. So again, that's what I've heard. I haven't. There's no confirmation on that, but it makes perfect sense because that fire started really quick. And they did catch him right away. He was seen doing it. So thank God for that. They got him. So, but anyways, our hearts go out to the people up there.
And in that. So like I was saying, it's like community effort, and the conversation that we're going to be having today is about community. So just a couple of things. Thank you for joining us. At any point when you're joining us, if you're seeing this from Randy's page, my page, business page, any of the pages, go on to Love Your Life Story, click like, follow us from Love Your Life Story. That's really important, so you can share. Please share the love. I mean, this is about just being able to see things from a different perspective. We want participation. Please, question us or have your thoughts. Share them. And there's no wrong thought. We are here to be open to your ideas and to our ideas, and really just have a collective conversation. If you're on one of our pages and you're watching this, we can see that you're watching it, but we can't see who it is. So if we're not acknowledging you, that's why, because we can't see your name popping up. Type on it from whichever link that you're on, and say hi. Tell us where you're at. Tell us whether you're local or you're far away. Let us know. Today is going to be a fun one because we're talking about communities, but we have a special guest that's going to be joining us around 11:30, and he's going to give his perspective on what happened for him when he realized that how important it was to create a healthy community and create supportive people in allow supportive people to be in his life. I think sometimes when we're struggling, there are supportive people, but I think because of our own shame and our own guilt and our own hang-ups that we have, we push that possibility away. Because we I have an amazing community. I have amazing friends who have supported me. Here I am in the US, my family are in the UK, and I've had to build a whole new life. I've had to build a whole new community. And in the beginning, it was like, okay, do it on my own. But how much can you do on your own? There's only so much you can do on your own. But when you have amazing people around you, it just changes. It changes your life. It changes how you show up. It changes who you are being. Because if you're working on your old program, you're going to be held accountable, and you're going to be told, hey, this is not okay. This is not what you are working towards. And so and this is not about shaming or blaming. This is just about reevaluating and being able to be held accountable, to be able to be vulnerable, and to be able to be, that healthy criticism or that healthy pointing in the right direction. Just because, I have my times when I might be out of place or alignment in what I'm doing. But being able to hear from someone like yourself or, my other mentors that I work with and coaches that I work with, it helps me, hey, no, it's not okay for you to do what you're doing. If I'm completely held in shame, I can't talk about it. There's no growth. I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing because it feels comfortable, but I'm not going to pull out of it. No,
because you're comfortable in the uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
Like we talked about.
We talked about before, right? Sit in the sea of uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
Can I start off with this little quote that we found?
Yeah, no, you said that, and I want to say a few things after that.
Of course.
That's a quote.
So I just, I was looking online, and just something. I love quotes. Who doesn't love quotes? We all love a good quote, right? So the one that I found is: a healthy social life is found only when in the mirror of each soul, the whole community finds its reflection. And when in the whole community, the virtue of each one is living. So when we talk about a soul virtue or a heart virtue, it goes beyond, it's like that purity of acts of service, the purity of why are we here doing what are we doing. So this was by Rudolf Steiner. He's an Austrian philosopher and education pioneer back in the 1800s. But just something that called me and, kind of
Caught your attention.
Caught my attention. Yeah. Caught my soul.
Caught your soul.
Yeah. Made me look deeper.
That's what some of those quotes are good for.
Yeah.
I got a lot of those in my book.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. So.
Oh, tell them about the book.
Not yet. At the end.
At the end?
I think why? Because I want more people on.
Okay. You want a following. See how he does it?
We got some really good news yesterday, and that's all I'm going to say.
But what can you say now and then say at the end too? So a little bit now.
Oh man!
And then
you gotta
see,
put
because
marketing
there's going to be
material.
people, because people might not watch us all
They
the way
might watch
through.
all the way through,
But
huh?
they might not do. They might do. So what I mean, like, I'm just really
Okay,
proud of him.
alright.
I'm really, really proud of him.
So
This was his
yesterday-
original book.
That's the original book. And the content of the new book is the same, but we changed the name to Healing the Child Within,
The
Wounded Child Within. Wounded Child
Healing the Wounded Child Within.
Within. And oh, I did something right yesterday. Anyways,
Yeah, don't get distracted.
I just got distracted. And then we changed the book cover. And so I've got some PR people that have been working with me. And yesterday I got an email from them. I have made the international bestseller list on that book. 5 different categories. I'm ranked anywhere from 1 to number 4. Some of the top 10 of all 5 categories, 13.
Hey, Hiran. Thanks for joining.
I can't remember how many. There's 13 different.
So there was mental health,
Mental
family support,
memoirs, sexual abuse.
Was there trauma in there?
I think trauma's in there. I might be get it right here.
But why
So
don't we
yeah,
just
so
okay.
sexual abuse, memoirs, mental health, biographies, memoirs, counseling, psychology,
yeah.
self-help. Yeah, and the Australia, Canada, Japan, Netherlands,
Even in the
Italy,
UK.
UK.
Even in the UK he's under what? UK was under.
Is under mental health and
Mental
memoirs. And
I
memoirs, so-
highly recommend to all my professional friends back home in England, if you're watching, this is a really just a life-changing. It's the read and being able to see from a different perspective, but there's also the tools in it.
Yeah.
But also I want to say, I mean, like and I want you to continue what you're saying, but what I want to touch on in his growth and this development, he didn't do it without community.
No.
He did it because he had community.
Right.
And he actively invested
Yep.
and seeked community.
Ask me, was it easy?
I had to listen to him.
It wasn't easy.
It was hard. It was hard.
So
It took you long, right? I mean, how many years ago did you write this?
Well, I
it
published it in 2000. It took me all my life to write it.
Right, but I mean, like how long has it been published? Let's get it.
2015.
It's okay. But
2015.
and the struggle was real.
The struggle was real.
He from 2015, he was doing his own work, and burning himself out when he realized that, hey, something's gotta shift. He's gotta shift.
Right. So I got uncomfortable.
And you got uncomfortable. Oh, it was really
And
uncomfortable.
I'm still uncomfortable. The next move, but it's getting easier.
But it's that the uncomfortable is the fact that you just don't know, right? It's
the
just the fact that you don't know.
uncertainty. It's the uncertainty. But here's the deal: is that when I look back, I mean, nothing's ever gone wrong. It's always gotten better. It's just my.
So it's the trust, right?
It's the trust. I put my trust in my higher power, God, and it just seems to now. Because I put my trust in him doesn't mean I don't do the work. Okay.
You did the work.
I do the work. I just don't say, God, you got this. No, there's a lot of work I got to do, and there's times when it's really hard. So, but hey, on the community, there's a saying: "Show me your friends, and I'll know your life." Right. And for me, before I got into recovery, nobody really taught me about life. I think wasn't taught about life as a child. Okay, nobody taught me how to live, to deal with consequences, deal with problems. But I was driven by some kind of internal drive. And so my mentors in life were all very, from the onset, they were successful people, most of them in construction. Most of them, as successful as they were, they drank and they partied. I drank and I partied with them. Towards the end, most of them were cheating on their wife and doing things they shouldn't have been doing. But that's what I thought was the right thing to do. After a while, I was successful. So that community that I developed growing up, trying to be a part of, trying to be accepted, wasn't the healthiest community I could be a part of.
So temporarily, so what I'm hearing, what I'm saying is temporarily it supported him to do what he needed to do.
Yeah.
But the long-term detriment that it caused was life-changing.
It was,
right?
it was life-changing. I mean,
well, and in the like the worst sense of like what it did for you, right? In the long run. So it was never sustainable.
It was never sustainable. I would have ended up dead. I would have ended up losing everything. But here's what's really important to know. Really important to know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the man I am today because of everything that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I probably wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for alcohol or drugs or for a lot of that stuff.
Right.
Because it was my coping mechanisms. I was talking to somebody.
So remember the conversation that we were having last week?
Coping
and if you haven't watched it, I would really recommend for you to just kind of touch base with them. I mean, the conversation always gets deeper, and as you know, it's always personalized too. But just someone so where you can get perspective in coping mechanisms. So that.
I was talking to this girl. She was beating herself up. I go, look, you're alive.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares about your past?
Mm-hmm.
You're here and you're alive.
Right.
And so it works while it works until it doesn't work. Until
you have no control over it.
So
like control. I'm the same. I mean, I'm the same. I had my coping mechanisms of, let's list them out, shall we? With food, I would say I'm just getting in the wrong friendships because of my own stuff, and mine was drugs. It was. I'm sure I could list a few more stuff out, but and it was kind of the functional coping mechanisms.
It's functional coping
mechanisms, right? So it wasn't ever that I did it to the point where it overtook my life, but at points it did, because I still wasn't showing up how I needed to.
I was a highly functioning alcoholic.
Yeah.
Okay, but you just said the key word. I wasn't showing up really how I needed to.
Yeah.
And so the hardest part about the change is, what do you have to change? Is you have to change everything. And that change that I talked to everybody about, is like, that means a lot of your old friends go bye-bye. And the reality is, when that happens, you find out who really were your friends.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of you so-called friends were only there for one reason, because they love misery just like you did, so to speak. And the one, I held on to one friend.
Mm-hmm.
It was a gentleman that I hunted with. But it was one of those things where when he was with me and my son, he was one way, he was cool to be with. But as soon as this other group showed up with us, we all hunted together. He completely changed.
Whole different person. And we were in Colorado on a trip, and I actually caught him in a bold-faced lie. And I confronted him on the whole group on it. And I thought they were going to knock the crap out of me right there in the hotel room. Mm-hmm.
And these were all Christians,
mm-hmm.
right? Which, you know me, I'm a Christian, but I can't stand the ones that talk out the side of their mouth. And so it was at that point where I said, okay, he's gone. Mm-hmm. I don't need that in my life. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes too, but if I'm gonna go forward in my life, I can't go backward. And that means that behavior in my eyes, while we have to accept everything, I'm going to use this word, is unacceptable in my eyes to be part of my life. Now, does that mean that people are pushed out of my life forever? No. Some people have come back and they've cleaned up their act and we're good friends still. Mm-hmm. But their purpose in my life was used up at that point in time. Remember, everybody's in our life for a reason or a season. Mm-hmm. And it might just be a 1 minute conversation. We never see that person again. Or it could be a long, that same guy taught me a lot about myself over the years. Right. Right? He showed me how much of a weenie head I was. Okay? And he didn't, not him, but my behaviors because I was trying to compete with him. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So community is when we get in recovery, is really important. We can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, because eventually the foot that's out is going to bury us. Mm-hmm. And I've seen it way too many times.
Well, it keeps on nipping you on the butt because you're still gonna do the same thing.
Right.
You're gonna do it in a it's like highly sophisticated, right? You
Yeah,
know,
well, it's like this. Well, at least I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
Right? At least I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look what you're doing to your family.
Look what you're doing to yourself. I mean,
Look at
like, it's like
yourself,
that,
yeah.
I mean, look what you're doing to, like, if it's about, you know, and I still go through it myself. You know, there's certain things that I'm still working through and I'm still doing, and you know, whether it's within my business or whether it's like that showing up, but look what I'm doing. Ultimately, it's look what I'm doing to myself. If I keep on functioning the way I'm functioning, and I have my dreams and visions and desires to be fulfilled, right, in multiple ways, because everything is a relationship, right, and ultimately our own relationship with ourselves is the relationship that will help to heal our communities and societies that we live in. You know, I'm saying it plurally, I'm saying it as a worldwide thing with just everything that's going on in our lives. You know, look what's happening. You know, politics or not politics. You know, I mean, but just look what's happening. And I think that if we start or enable ourselves to be able to see ourselves in a whole different way, we're on a and again, I think it's just that awareness. You know, now I'm seeing it. I can only get better.
Right.
Or I can keep on sitting in it and just continue feeling that I'm feeling.
Right. It's your choice.
It's my choice.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want to do?
But can I only do that if I can only seek to find a safe place, a nurturing place to be vulnerable? Can I overstep that? Because I can't in my head, right? The awareness, you know, how many times you go, oh, yeah, I get that. I get this part of my life, right? Because it's an internal dialogue. You got no one to be accountable and vulnerable to.
Right.
So you are going to still do what you're doing and not step out of it.
Right. Because nobody knows about it.
Nobody knows about it.
No.
And you're not building, you go, oh, I can do this on my own.
Well, it's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You get the 1 foot in and get everybody Buffalo, but then as soon as you leave, you're out here.
Yeah.
Right? And, well, at least I'm not
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
So I got to be better. Well, yeah, that's true, but why just be half? Why not be all in? I mean, I understand. We're sitting here saying, hey, jump in with both feet and your life's going to be better than you could ever imagine.
Trust.
Yeah.
Trust the flow. I mean, get good people behind you. I mean, I guess so, you know, as you guys know, can I talk a little bit about this little stuff so we can kind of get it? Chris should be here shortly, but just we can come back to it. But he's going to be sitting right here, and then we can actually see this beautiful work of art that Randy did.
I'm lying, she did it.
But so Randy and I were just talking, you know, like as we do, you know, this is the part of exploration and growth, and you know, as you know, what we're here to do is so you can start loving your life story. You know, Randy has his horrendous past and I have my horrendous past. But beyond that, now we're loving that story and we're loving ourselves and we're growing to love others and be of service to others in a whole new capacity. And that starts, one, with ourselves. And then two is building those people around us. So when we were talking about the stuff of patterns and behaviors and thought patterns, ultimately that can be helped if we have the right community and supportive people around us. So that's why we're bringing this right into the conversation before we start going into other stuff that we'll be talking about. You know, and if you're getting this at some point in between, watch our videos previously and keep following us. And, you know, we're having some amazing conversations.
Yeah, then go to our YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's on YouTube. Love Your Life Story.
Right.
So I put it on there every Thursday or Friday morning. It goes up.
Right, exactly. So we're just talking about if it's about building healthy communities and supportive people, you know, what does that look like? How can we create a sustainable wheel that, you know, if we veer off, what do we need to look at? So we broke it down into how that looks,
Right.
right? That's how we discussed, and we broke it down into how that looks.
Real simple, actually.
I mean, yeah, I would say so. I would say, and you can start somewhere, right? But it's like that. Is that we've always said, what's your motive behind something, right?
Well, first one, right, is right there. Find healthy community and supportive people. It's real simple.
Yeah.
Find that group.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay, end of conversation.
Done? Okay, we're done. Oh, we have Chris coming here too.
Yeah.
And in that, ultimately it's for yourself, right?
Yeah, it's for yourself.
It's for yourself. It's for your own growth. It's for your own growth and your own, own self-worth. And I think that, there's a lot of people out there that, work in groups, support groups, have, family members, and whether in partnership, whether in whatever, and they think they choose a person, and particularly in partnership, they choose a person and they expect that person to be everything for them.
Yeah.
Right? Be that mentor, be that coach, be the, the cook, the cleaner, take the good and the bad and the ugly, I guess, right? I mean, it's everything, but the truth is, one person can't be everything for you.
Nope.
And that's why we need to look outside of that and have that healthy community and supportive people in the right areas in your life so you can build on that.
And then, let me say this too, because this is very, very important. I've run across it in the last 12 years that I work with a lot of men and couples men too. And I have a lot of answers, but I don't have them all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's okay. And so your well-intentioned answers can do more harm than good. So there's been several times when I've been working with guys or couples and I just say, look, I don't have that answer right now. I can tell you what I think, but I don't want you to run with it. So what I would like to do, with your permission, is I would like to seek some advice from some of my mentors and professionals, and then get back to you with your permission. Is that okay? Because I don't want to, it's anonymity, confidentiality is of utmost importance. So, we don't always have the answers for everybody. So don't pretend that you do,
right? Because
you're going to do more harm than good. And I've seen it, especially with abuse survivors. People try to answer it, and then they're clueless. They shouldn't. If you haven't, I'm going to say this very boldly. If you haven't been sexually abused, if you haven't worked on your issues, number two, and you haven't been healed through them, you don't have the experience and then the right coping skills and the right tools. Please don't try to help somebody that's been sexually abused, because I've seen so much damage done by that. Where people they go deeper into their shame than they were before they ever sat down with the person. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough. So be real careful. Don't check your pride at the door when you're working with somebody. And if you have a mentor that thinks he knows it all and can help you, hey, you need to go the other way. Mm-hmm. I mean, I got my mentors for my issues. I've got spiritual advisors. I got physical advisors. I got them all. Yeah, I talk to a lot of different people.
Just like me.
We talk to a lot of different people. But that doesn't mean that they're giving me all the answers. I gather all the information from them, and I don't run with them. Now, again, I'm 12 years into this, so I've been able to diagnose that stuff.
But it takes time.
Yeah, it takes time. So just...
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because, to build that... because it takes time. Okay, so he was doing his own recovery work, he was doing his own stuff, but what changed for you when you actually seeked and you invested in yourself to get the right mentor? Because that changes everything. I think when people start, there's a community and we all need it and we all build on it. But if you want to grow and really thrive, it takes something. It takes an investment.
So
Self-investment.
So here's what happened with me. Because when I walked into Betty Ford for the first time in my life, people listened to me. Mm-hmm. They didn't tell me to get over it. They didn't tell me forget, move on. Mm-hmm. They actually acknowledged my pain. Mm-hmm. They actually allowed me to talk through it, mm-hmm. right? Now, these were professionals, okay, of course. So, but still, they allowed me to work through it. So then I started the journey there. Finally, I got hopes. Finally, people are hearing my story. Finally, people are listening to me and they're understanding me. Okay, so... Then when I got into AA, see, the fortunate part for me is that I was connected and I didn't know I was connected. Mm-hmm. And a really good friend of ours, Duke and Roxanne, They stepped up to the plate and when I went to AA, he said, go here, do this, and this. I want you to talk to this person. So my first sponsor, because AA was sponsored, was Ron, and he was a godsend. He just loved me to death. He didn't judge me. He listened to everything I said, was not a problem. And then he moved to LA, and then Wade Spiritual Dave came into play, and he was an older gentleman, and then he became like a father to me. And then Roy Jarvis, who just recently passed away as a co-sponsor. I was fortunate. I had men that took an interest in Randy. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll say this. There's a lot of bad ones in there too that could have driven me the other way. So I really believe it was just a combination of my higher power of God putting the right people in the right place in my life at the right time. Mm-hmm. But my therapist said this to me: Randy, you're going to get hurt. People are going to reject you. People are going to turn their back on you. People are going to break your trust. Mm-hmm. It's not you. It's life. Mm-hmm. And it really hurt to hear that. But in the long run, it really helped me.
But it's that sustainability again. If you look at the wheel, because then you just know. I think it's when you get clear, it's not personal, right? Then you connect. You're able to, and it's not about your past,
right?
Then you're able to move forward. So even in that, where you've had, mentors, even those who supported you, but even at the time that pulls away, and you go and get the next level of growth, right? Right. So there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But being able to sustain that and keep that. So the question in your answer, I mean, I guess it's more along the lines of getting to understand that he had his beginning part, but he had to move on to get to where he's at.
The number one key, I don't care who you are, is to be. I didn't care. I was willing to do whatever it took to change. I was tired. I was done living the way. I hear a lot of people say that, but are they willing to do whatever it takes?
And it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard.
You have to be. So here's the question I ask everybody: are you willing to do whatever it takes to change your life? Okay. It's a contract. If they say, yeah, I am, then from that point forward, now within reason. Okay. Some people wash my car, wash my dishes, do this, do that. There's actually a guy that does that.
Oh, I have. I've met people who've done that
that's wrong.
For their own gain.
It's their own gain.
Yeah.
So it's like, are you willing to go to any length to change your life? And if you say yes, then your mentor, what I'll do as a mentor, as a coach, is I'll walk with you, and you're going to hit walls. You're going to hit a wall. I'm not going to lie about it. And I got to be patient during that wall. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I just gotta love them.
We have, I mean, like whether it's you work with Randy, whether it's with myself, or whether it's through this entity that we have, Love Your Life Story, and coming to our workshops and coming to our educational forums, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to take in a lot, but it's going to take time for it to actually sink in and deliver. Yeah. It's not, I've done so many courses, I've got so many certifications, and it's like 2, 3 years, 4 years down the line, and I go, oh, now I get it. I mean, I got it initially in the education, like here, but that whole alignment process of, your heart, your head, I always said it, my heart, my head, but it's the other way around, right? And my soul, like, really coming together and really working together, it takes.
So, well, here's the question. How many years were you acting a certain way? For me, it was 38 years of piss poor behavior, of beliefs, of behavior. So I was 38 years out there acting crazy, and my beliefs were this way.
Yeah. Mine's constantly changing. I think, like, when
so if I had 38 years of acting one way, do I expect that to go away overnight? There's no quick fix. There's no pill. It's 38 years of beliefs that are ground into your brain.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's like that conversation when people say that the older you get, it's harder to even shift that. Like I always tell you about my mom and dad. You're in the same group, right? So, but it's like one of those things. They've already gone to the point. Oh, life is done. We don't need to worry about it. And I'm going, are you kidding me? This could be the best time of your life, and you have a choice.
But I don't drink.
Yeah, right. But I don't do it. Yeah, exactly. No, amazing point. Yeah.
Listen, just quickly, because we've got almost.
We're good.
So here's the keys to this: find an extraordinary coach or mentor, okay, and seek that out. Okay, they might find a coach or mentor that that has what you want in a sense. You might not like him at first, and there might be times you don't like him at all. You hate him, as a matter of fact. But that's all the better. Because a good mentor or coach will tell you the truth. They won't tell you what you want to hear.
The truth doesn't hurt. What hurts is your pride.
There you go.
It's your ego. So just take a look at it. I mean, hey, I have a big ass ego myself, but it's being able to be humble and being able to see that where that arises. Right. We all have it. It's never going to go away. You got to see it.
You got to see it and love it.
And because my ego did support me at one point.
And then when you find that extraordinary coach or mentor, make sure that they have a safe place.
Safe and nurturing
place to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Okay, because rigorous honesty starts within yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, how you feel deep inside of you, you can't be honest with your mentor, your coach, your children, your wife, your spouse, whoever. And so you got to make sure that coach is going to allow you to be vulnerable, okay, and it's going to be safe there, okay?
Yeah.
And then don't worry about that. You want diversity. That's how we learn. Everybody's different, right? I mean, look at Topeka and I. I have to take a baseball bat to her at least once a week to knock some sense. No, I'm kidding. I don't have to do that. But, yeah. So you want diversity because, like Topeka and I say, race, culture, whatever that is, pull the facade back, people. You have to pull it back because behind the facade, underneath all, we're all human beings.
Yeah.
We all bleed red. Okay, we might have different colored skin, different colored hair, but we're all human beings and our emotions and feelings are basically all the same. Okay.
And can I just say something on that? Because seeking out diversity and it can mean in different ways, right? That's one part of it is wherever someone comes from.
Right.
The other part of it is we all have different, and right at the beginning when I was just saying, we all have different wants and desires. For Randy, for example, he's a cyclist, he's a musician, he's an author, he's a public speaker, he does all of these things. But if he was expecting one person to help him with all of those things, it just wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work.
So the diversity is also looking outside of what you really want and desire so that you can get the right support to take you into that avenue, and you feel inspired. That inspiration is growing up every single day. And in that, there's days where you feel like, I do not want to do this in this moment. But in the right support, if that's your mission, that's your vision, you will get that if you have that diversity, for sure.
So then, seek out diversity, and most importantly, we need to share the love. So, that's what Topeka and I do. We share the love with a lot of people that we work with.
We want you to love yourself. We want you to love your story, the goods and the bads.
And when you can start doing that, then you can start sharing that love with other people. And you can start you can almost be in their shoes because you're not alone in what you're going through. People go, I'm so alone. Nobody understands. Oh, yes, they do. And there's a lot of people that are in your shoes. And so you're not alone in anything that you do. Okay, so when you can start loving yourself even a little bit, then you start loving other people. And then your love for yourself will grow, and it's kind of like a ping pong match going back and forth.
But without it being dependent. And really, like, the share the love is of, I would say, like, being authentic. Right. This is not to gain something, This is just to share the love because it makes a difference.
And then nurturing new social connections.
So remember, your company is what you become, right? So if here you are, you've shifted. There's something that's awakened within you, and you know that you want something different. But if you continue being in the same crowd and the same social dynamics, it's gonna continue to drag you in. It's gonna hold at you because part of it is that you are a nurturing and caring and loving person, and you want to help, and you see the light, but they don't see the light yet, right? But then you keep on getting pulled back and forth. You're gonna end up struggling yourself. Sometimes you have to create that new, and that doesn't mean disowning, but it's just creating healthy boundaries, right? This is not about breaking relationship, but sometimes if that's how somebody wants to take it, that you've broken that relationship, that's in their gift. But in your gift, it's going, okay, this is what I need to create for myself, a new connection, a new social work. And don't forget, there's a difference between socializing, friends like who are close to your heart, acquaintances. Get clear on that. There's nothing wrong with having acquaintances, but but get clear, and don't be surprised if something comes back to you if you're not clear on that.
Yeah, because I got 3 different communities.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and all of them are great people, anywhere from my church community, my CR community, to my cycling community.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I was talking to Kathy about that this morning, and every one of them are great people. It's I just surround myself with healthy people. Yeah, do some of them drink? Yeah, but they're not. They don't drink alcoholically. You can drink and have fun. I wish I could, but I can't. But so yeah, so I nurture the important connections in my life. I make sure I nurture those. However I got to do it. It was just a text once in a while saying, "Hey man, how you doing today?" That's what you got to do.
Right.
And then the last one, I'm going to get Kristen here, is build sustainability.
So the overall goal, I mean, to build healthy communities, for example, I'm going to give an example of myself, coming into this country. I left my home and I had my own friends and all of that stuff all over there. But here I am, I'm in a new world. So for me, community is really important. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not, I'm building it because I know even if I do go back to England, this is a part of my life, so build relationships, and sometimes it's hard. And I guess sometimes it's like, build sustainability in the sense of let people know how, who you are, in a healthy way. Like in terms of like even, business, whether it's your business, whether it's your family, whether it's friends, but build that, be able to be open, be authentic. And in your authenticity, people will honor that. And you will able to build that sustainability. Then I know one of my things would be when I built friendships was the minute that they wanted to meet, and if I heard for some reason, because my background was I used to get in trouble. So my background noise would be, oh, what am I in trouble for now? My background noise would be, oh, they don't want to know me.
Yeah.
Right. So being authentic was really hard for me.
Yeah, I hear that. I forgot about that part of me. Yeah.
And it hold me back.
We'll talk later. What do you mean we'll talk later?
Yeah.
Why can't we talk now?
What's wrong?
It's okay.
Right. And I think building sustainability is really learning about yourself. Learning that you are valuable, you are valued, you are loved, you make a difference. And the other noise that goes on will not enable you to build that sustainable community and supportive people.
And here's the other part of that, we'll end with this, that the sustainability part with a friend, with a community, that sometimes it's uncomfortable because that means that you're going to have to be vulnerable and approach somebody that you have an issue with.
You don't feel even inferior, because I think even that issue is inferiority, or you don't feel of value.
But you're going to have to. You can't ignore it.
No, you can't.
It might be something that you can investigate yourself. Look at now. Why am I having a hard time with the PICA? What's going on? I mean, is it me? Is it her? Is it just something I'm going through right now? And so my suggestion is that you kind of play that card first, right? Mm-hmm. And then if it keeps coming back up, then it's like, I got to talk to the PICA because something's really bothering me about her.
Yeah.
And I can't, it's not fair for me to keep showing up and have this underlying issue with the PICA. I've got to talk to her about it. And my experience, when it's done in a healthy manner, has always been absolutely wonderful outcome.
Hey, Larry.
So.
Yeah, no, I thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
But we have our stuff that comes up,
Yeah, but we talk about it.
But we talk about it, yeah. And if it does build up, it shows, right? When we don't, because we have so many things that are going on in our lives, and we are really busy individually, and we're working on a big project. So, sometimes it's like, okay, there's no time for this, but then you have to make time. Because when you don't make time for it, it shows. Right. It shows its face, right?
And I think, like you said, some keys that both of us got our own stuff going on. We're working on a big project. we got all this other stuff going on around us. So sometimes we walk in here, and it's not Topeka and it's not Randy. It's the garbage that we're carrying into
it.
Right? I mean, that's the reality of it. You know?
And the noise.
If she's my friend, I'm her friend. She's not my enemy, and I'm not her enemy. That's sometimes we got to remember that.
Yeah, and sometimes those triggers, you know, even in that friendship, those triggers because of the old stuff comes up. We might get to talk to Randy about it, and that's the beauty of it, because of the type of friendship that we've built and the trust that we've built in doing what we're doing. But, you know, stuff from my old stuff comes up, and it'll be like, oh, you know, can I trust him? Can I you know, and the mind goes like crazy, and I have to talk to him about it. Like, this is really coming up for me, you know, this is like something that, and just being able to say that and be safe without him judging me. And then also in the right way, wherever he needs to, he'll question me.
Right. But it's with love and compassion.
Yeah, right.
It's not a
telling off.
Not a telling off. It's not a put down. It's not a shameful questioning. You know, which is that's part of healthy relationships. I mean, Chris is going to join us right here, right now, and
yeah, come on, Chris, come on.
He's one of the guys I'm going to let him say most of it, but
we're putting you on the spot here. Hey, so everybody say hi to Chris.
How we doing, guys?
So we brought. I want to bring Chris in here because a year and a half ago, I got a phone call from Chris, and he was in a desperate spot. And I says, hey, just show up Friday night to celebrate recovery, and I'll be there, and just come say hi to me. Well, he showed up, and hey, I'm Chris. Chris who? Well, yeah, I talk to so many people. I go, oh yeah, Chris. You know,
I almost walked out.
Yeah. I wouldn't have blamed you. I'd have to chase it in. You know, and you can correct me when I'm wrong, but when Chris walked in there, he was at the lowest spot he'd ever been in his life, and he really had no community, did you? None. You were by yourself.
I was alone.
Yeah, all alone, right? And we invited him into the Celebrate Recovery community, and essentially, I just kept on asking him to come back. And as Chris did that, the light started showing, and he had a lot of shame that he was carrying when he walked in. And he told me what was going on in his life. And I met him with love and kindness and compassion. I said, don't worry about it, man. You're going to be fine. We'll get you through this. You know, you're not alone. And then here he is a year and a half later. I had a pleasure. The first person I ever married was him and his wife. They asked me to marry him. It was great.
We were the guinea pigs.
Yeah. But it was a great one, wasn't it?
It was amazing.
It was great. Everybody says, like, man, when can we get you to marry us, you know? So I married them. They've got a child due next week. And they've got about
anytime soon, basically.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, well, actually, anytime.
Anytime soon. I mean, it's not next week. Anytime. Like, if he's got to run right now, you know what?
I know. I have to keep my phone on me.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles.
Fine, I've got no problem with that. So I just want to bring Chris in here. I don't know.
Can we ask you some questions?
Yeah, I want you to ask some questions. So, because he came from no community, now he's surrounded by a very good community. He's a tremendous service right now.
And I guess the part of it, because, you know, he went into, and just the stuff that we've been discussing, and, you know, you went into this community which was supportive, but I think it's at next level. What changed for you in the next, because it's you proactively participating in seeking a mentor, a coach, that shifted for you, because you're doing your work, right? You stepped into and you stepped into something. But after stepping into that community, there was something that you had to take responsibility for to go out of that, right? Or not out of that, or to grow. To grow would be, because you're still in that community, right?
Right.
But working with Randy, working with just, you know, coming into even our classes, just share from your heart, I guess.
I think the biggest thing that changed for me in the last probably 4 or 5 years, about 4 or 5 years ago, I felt so alone, and you guys were talking about, you know, you are who you are friends with. And the company that I was with were not healthy people. You know, they participated in everything that I was not wanting to be a part of. And it was bringing my self-esteem and who I thought about myself to the lowest levels. Yeah. And at some point, about a year and a half ago, everything was brought out of the shadows. And it was like, okay, I had a chance for the first time in my life to actually talk about it. I was finally given that choice where I wasn't going to be judged. And that was, I think, the scariest part of my life, talking about my problems without someone looking at me and going, I don't want to really be around you. And when I finally talked about my issues, there was love there and support. And when I finally, met Randy, I had met someone who, like he was saying, came down to my level, looked at me with love and with compassion and said, I'm here for you. And I didn't think that was even in existence in the world. I mean, I was going to die with my secrets. And now I actually get to tell my secrets, and it makes me feel better about myself knowing that if I just help one person, then that's a success.
And you tripped along the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I tripped about, let's see, I don't want to say I was sober because I was still participating in substance abuse, but I took one part of my addictions away, but I wasn't completely sober.
Right.
And like you said, you have to give up everything, change everything in your life. And I didn't change everything.
Right.
I changed the thing I hated the most.
Right.
Well, it's like we were saying earlier, so that we intellectually, fix one side, right, just to make it kind of go, okay, we've done such and such. I don't drink anymore.
I don't drink anymore.
But then the other part of it, we're not doing that other part of the work, and it's okay. And again, it's that awareness. What changed for you is that awareness that you were doing that you could step into. But then it takes something else, because if you're continuing doing that, then you need the right mentor and the right coach for you to be able to get out of that. Because
so when you trip, how were you met?
Oh, so when I tripped, I called my mentor, my sponsor, my life coach, and he didn't judge me, yell at me. He didn't say, you're this, that, and the other. He said, okay, it's done. It's over with. Let's move forward to the next day. It's okay. We still love you. I'm still here to support you. And I was like, oh my God, this is.
I think you got kicked out. You got kicked out of the house too.
I got kicked out of my house.
What am I going to do on now?
I was out of the house for a couple months, but that's the thing is, gaining trust back takes time, and it took time. And I got back in the house and got my family back and having a baby and got married.
And moving forward, right?
Oh yeah,
moving forward.
Yep.
And I think ultimately, we're always moving forward, whether we think it or not. There's only one way of rotation. Even when you think you're taking 10 steps back and you're moving backwards, you're still moving forward. But, in which way are you moving forward, right? Are you doing the things that you really fulfilling yourself and fulfilling your desires? If you desire to be a family man, then are you showing up as a family man? Don't be surprised, if you can't sustain that, it's because you're not showing up as how you wanted to show up, just like even Randy. He loves his family, but how he showed up in the past and how he shows up now is completely different. Right? Even myself. So even creating healthy boundaries and creating healthy communities. And remember, everybody can't be the same and be everything for you. So my family cannot be everything for me. And in most of those habits that were learned from negative teaching. So I have to I don't have to break ties, where it's not necessary, but in certain cases it might be necessary. The other part is I have to create my own community outside of what my expectations, what my family should be doing for me or should not be doing for me.
It's funny that you guys talk about the wheel here. I'm like, every single part of this one, I'm like, that's my life right there.
Yeah.
In the past year and a half, every single part, there are new people, new foundations, new mentors, new support groups, I've built sustainability, social connections.
Well, I want to say something that just came to my mind about Chris. My sponsor told me, Randy, here's my 5 priorities in life. God, recovery, physical health, family, and job. In that order. And there's a reason why. It's, you know, you don't have God, you don't have recovery, you don't have recovery, you don't have God, you don't have God, recovery, you don't have physical health, you don't have those, you don't have family, you don't have that, what do you got? Yeah. Okay, so we say that to everybody. And not very many people will follow it. They'll usually go God, recovery, and they feel good. They go all the way down the job, and all of a sudden they're gone.
It's there, yeah.
It's gone, right? Chris is one that's followed this. And I mean, I've watched him, and his life is working wonderfully. Okay, is he got millions of dollars? No, but he is extremely happy. His wife is extremely happy.
Yes.
He's a great father to the stepchildren. Plus, now he's got his own son coming into this world.
And he's investing in himself.
Right.
You know, it's like, and I wanted to say that the 5 steps, so
Yeah.
priorities. You know, if any of you who are hung up on the word God,
Yeah.
let's just say, you know, hey, there's people out there that like that,
Yeah.
right? Okay, let's say higher self or something outside
Higher
of you,
power,
power,
whatever
whatever
you
you want to
choose.
call it. But, you know, there's something beyond